listeners, and welcome to the 29th episode of the Heresy Accountability Buddies podcast. I'm Jacob, and this episode I'm joined by...
Dan.
Duncan.
Mike.
Jack.
John.
Jamie.
And Michael, if you didn't catch him, he spoke a little out of sequence, but he's joining us as well. We may have a couple other hosts bouncing in over the course of the show. Regardless, we're glad to have you with us. We've got a lot to talk about this show, not the least of which starts with the fact that we are recording this on Adepticon Go Live Day, and people have some feelings about that. This might be the one where some folks get used to a particular sound effect. Whatever the case is, we're glad to have you with us, and who wants to kick us off?
I start and say, this is a very special after.
Oh yes, the special after school
No,
episode.
this is not an episode of Dawson's Creek. Nobody is over here recording with me. Nobody is...
Baby.
This is more like one of those where it's talking about how it's okay to know a heroin addict and why people are all addicted to crack.
Just so
a standard
clear,
Saved by the Bell episode.
I'm going to start this off by saying either 1 or 2 episodes ago, I called this. I said I have never tried to enroll in Adepticon events because of how they do everything. Because of the fact that the housing block goes live and sells out so far ahead of event registration.
Like a year!
Because event registration always manages to suffer the internet snuggle of death and crash. And this year, unsurprisingly, after we got the Heresy Big Box, is no exception. Now, before we get too far into the weeds, if I'm to understand, I don't know if we have actual event hosts here in chat, but if I'm right, we have more events with a higher capacity than what we have ever hosted for Heresy and Adepticon. Is that accurate?
So
I don't know if that's accurate. I am definitely hosting things. We have more events with more people than we had last year. And nothing sold out. Well, a couple things sold out last year, but nothing had full tables and full events. So if you were at Adepticon last year and you walked up, you could have played in any Heresy event with the number of spots and tables we had. And we have more events and more spots, or at least the same amount as we have this year. So
well, I've been coming to it for 5 years, Dan, since it started. And I can say that, yeah, as far as event count goes, yeah, this is the most Heresy specific, not including Titanicus and every other offshoot not Heresy game, because before they've had like Calth specific games, and those really weren't Heresy, they were just paint the box set and have fun. The most Heresy customizability, or whatever you want to call it, of official Heresy games, including tournament and team games and everything else that's on that schedule. This is the most events with the word Heresy in them that I have ever seen in Adepticon. Now, whether they're the numbers stack up, maybe one of the Gomezas one year had 70 players, while all we have this time is in the 60s. I don't know, but as far as event count goes, this is the largest it's been. And Jacob was right. We did all kind of call like, oh, this is probably going to go fast. This year, we'll talk about it later. I was at Michael's event and had a fun time and realized that Wi-Fi is probably not the best way to do it. Usually what I do is I kill everything that could be in my house talking to the internet, make sure that only one PC is plugged into the router, and that's how I get everything booked. And I've never really had a major issue getting most things that I want. My first year I took 24 hours of classes and got everything I wanted, and then from then on I've taken slightly less classes and more gaming. So I've usually been able to get what I wanted. This year I wasn't even able to get past please enter your name.
So I do want to layer on top of that, just so that we get it out there. Before today, I hadn't heard a word from the Heresy out of line saying, a bust, Adepticon suck, I don't like this, why is this I really want to put that out there front and center as our most positive note, keeping in mind that this show was originally, and may still end up being, Emperor's Children rules, but is probably not, because we have so much to talk about the Adepticon debacle.
I mean, like
Oh, and-
generally
Oh, I
up
mean-
till today, like everybody's from in the groups online that after the events had been released, and I mean we know people like Lucas and Dan and Zach that had kind of let us know what events that they were kind of planning on even before they were released. Everybody seemed really enthused by it. I mean, I really hadn't heard anything negative. I heard a couple people like, why didn't they ban? Was it Fury of the H or the Dreadnought right or whatever? Or
How
Fury
can
of the
So
I
we
join
can
my militia when
we
there aren't
can
rules
talk
yet,
about
right?
Fury in just a bit,
But I'm
but
just saying, overall, I really hadn't seen any negativity. It seemed very positive and upbeat, and generally a lot of people were just asking questions because of like this is the registration this year it's really late. I mean, normally November. Last year it was early
yeah,
December.
here we are 60 days before the event, give or
Yeah,
take.
so most of the questions like, what's going on? What's so late? And then like, what can I take? What characters can I claim or bring for these events? That's pretty much what I saw.
So
yeah.
I do want to also push forward with a note of positivity. So, in response to the overwhelming backlash, for a better term, of what's happened today, I have had a local. I've had Nick reach out and say, "Hey, how many tables could you provide?" Not only
Right.
for the sake that he's trying to figure out what he can do for a Gen Con event, but also for the sake of like, hey man, if I got Ryan's terrain and I got all of us to round up our own terrain, stuff that's fully painted, stuff that's ready to play on or could be in the next 60 days, what can I drag to Chicago with me and with Kurt to field as many additional tables as possible and alleviate as much of the wait list as possible?
Yeah. I mean, I've even offered I was offered a plane ticket today to fly up, and that's what I was gonna do. But like since then I've said like, hey, if you all need me to go pick up stuff and bring it, or get like somebody's trailer and bring stuff up, I'll be happy to do it.
Well,
Yeah, I'm going to be bringing a lot of the terrain that's going to be part of the Theorix and some of the other events. I've never had a trailer before, but we're looking at getting a trailer set up. I've got my 4 tables that we've talked about when we started this podcast, and then I've got 4 other tables, possibly 5, that I'm working on right now with the desert stuff. So, I mean, that's really kind of where the crunch is. It's not. Part of it is having people to run events. I mean, that's obviously, we appreciate Dan and Lucas and Zach and the others that are running the events, but they still need breaks. I mean, they can't run. They're doing this. Dan's not getting rich off this.
Dusk till dawn is already a lot to ask of an EO. As somebody who in college I ran a 24/7 event for 7 days, the number of college professors who I had to tell like, hey, by the way, I may not be in class this week, mostly because I'm going to be trying to not kill myself for the largest on-campus event, student event that happens, and trying to negotiate all that. Yeah, the fact that Adepticon, you're dealing with what, 3 or 4 days of trying to not do round the clock gaming, trying to both find time to like keep yourself safe and healthy and happy, but.
Well, I mean,
and I want to throw out here one of the
Go
things
ahead.
I want to throw out here. 2020, when Adepticon didn't happen, but the registration had happened when everything got canceled. I was signed up for a badge. I had no heresy events. I tried to register. Everything got filled up before I could get into this. So my son and I, and I'm local, so I'm going anyway, right? I literally had no events. So the reason why when Adepticon came back around, and that was basically when I said, I'm going to help run things the next time that this con actually happened. So, I will say that one of the things that, going forward, the more people that are willing to jump in and help and run an, even 1 day event, right? Tick runs the big event now, right? He's taken over and is running that with the Titans, the big BAG,
The bag, big game.
So
you guys have been on your best behavior for like 3 shows, so I figure in like the grand scheme of things, I had this episode coming.
So I guess to that point, this is all community led, right? Nobody led. Nobody is, like you said, nobody's making money. You know, at most people get maybe a little bit of travel compensation and, you know, basically your badge for the event to run events. So, you know, you know, we're not a big business. We're not doing this. You know, we don't have data analytics to figure out how many tables and events we need to run. You know, we struggle because the con's already at 2 buildings, and so, you know, we get space as they allot us space based on what sold and tickets from the previous year and what we think we're going to get. You know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this that there's no, now that's no excuse for the con itself and their software issues that they've had forever and ever and ever and can't get fixed. And, you know, that's a different conversation altogether. And it was ridiculous. It took me an hour to get in and get registered and get events. And I was one of the lucky ones that eventually I did. I know people who tried for over an hour and were never able to get in and even get a badge. So, you know, I don't know if they need to go to a staggered system, they need to go to someone else, both and more.
I mean, I have suggestions for that, but I'll let you go.
I'm not the expert on.
I mean,
on
I've worked in CDM and things like that. So there's a way they can do ticketing systems. GW has an automated ticketing system. You go to buy when they do big Black Library drops. If you go to the website at 12 o'clock when it drops, sometimes it'll pop up and say, "Oh, you're X in line."
Yep.
Your thing will come up. Ticketmaster has this, and I know that Adepticon isn't Ticketmaster. I'm fully aware of that. I'm not thinking that
Ticketmaster than CVent.
Yeah.
So if it's not clear to listeners, this year's Adepticon seems to have, at the very least for Heresy events, sold out both faster than any other year, in spite of the fact that we probably have more seats than any year. Again, probably no surprise with the fact that Heresy has gone big box, plastic, new edition launch. Some other changes have been in the pipeline. But also, Adepticon had more problems with their website, with their registration, with their purchasing this year than they did any year prior. To say nothing of spikes in Heresy demand, to say nothing of spikes in other game system demand. I know that Legion is trending upwards. I know that 40K is in the spot that it's in, whether you believe that's trending upwards or not. I am not qualified to make statements on Heresy. I'm sorry, on 40K.
Cough, 10th edition in June.
We sure think it's coming, but that's neither here nor there. Whatever the case.
They had more signups in the first hour than they had over the entirety of last Adepticon.
Yeah. So,
well, I mean, like last Adepticon, even though you had numbers, there probably should have been an asterisk because there was a lot of I mean, I know I couldn't come because the guy I was coming up with had health issues, COVID. Just throw that out there, but the same thing that the restrictions that a lot of people were like not going to do that, you know, that they installed, and so even though they had
at the same time, it was the most attended Adepticon ever. Still,
right, but I'm saying it probably was going to be even bigger if they didn't have the restrictions that they put in place.
So my point, my statement goes a long way to saying that miniatures wargaming seems to be more populous, more visible than it has ever been. And I said 1 to 3 episodes ago that my leading complaint with Adepticon was, and I said it earlier this show, was how late they released their event schedule relative to badge registration and the hotel event block, that Adepticon unfortunately continues to mismanage their product to the detriment of their targeted consumer. And unfortunately, the consumer base does not immediately seem to understand that as long as Adepticon continues to sell out and post record attendance, they have no motivation to change the product they sell and the price they sell it at. We had one guy in the large group chat complain that badge prices are the highest he's seen for a badge without a swag bag, no less.
Yeah.
There is no motivation for Adepticon to change its status, as long as it continues to remain relatively uncontested by LVO. They're on other sides of the United States. That doesn't surprise me. But as long as Adepticon continues to remain unchallenged and continues to remain the focal point for vendors to continue to release exclusives, or at least to preview exclusives in person that then show up as late as 24 hours later online in an official capacity, Adepticon will continue to sell out and experience this problem and have no motivation to change the product they deliver and the way they deliver it because it sells out.
I've gone to every Adepticon except for the past two, or however many, the two that were canceled and then the one after that, since 2010. I've gone up every year just about with Jack. We've hung out, we've played games, and I've never had a problem registering for events. This year, I mean, we've always had problems with C-Vent. They've been slow, they've been kind of shitty, but I've never seen anything so bad as it crashing Adepticon's own website, crashing every single bit of the event to where you cannot even get past the first step. I've never seen it go that bad.
No, yeah, I mean, I've been going on and off since, 2011, 2010? And
yeah, somewhere around the same.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I haven't gone as much as you. I go in spurts, kind of like groups of 3 or something like that. I can honestly, I mean, C-Vent has been, it's since the word go.
Like, yeah, it has.
I mean, like, it's been a constant. I've played games against some of the guys that previously have, like, been the upper management of Adepticon, and, like, throughout the tournaments that they're playing in, they're constantly told C-Vent sucks like my hairy ball sack. So, and I understand they have a contract with them and stuff, but, like, they keep renewing, and that's the problem. They're not learning from their mistakes. And they keep saying, well, there's nothing else that we can do.
They have no impetus to learn. Y'all keep consuming the product, and they continue to produce the same product. Well, I mean, the good news, we're not going to get demonetized. So,
but we will do.
So the thing is that if you look at it from a business standpoint, they're leaving a lot of money on the table. So,
and Lucas and I had a long talk about this on the way back. Like, so why is it? And part of this goes back to what you were saying. Why is it that Adepticon is this freaking popular? Why is it that Michigan GT? Why is it that Music City Heresy, the events that Michael and I run? Why is it that every one of these events has the exact same organizers in most instances, but almost fill up?
I'll tell you why.
Wait lists. They don't have all this stuff. I mean,
I think Michigan GT was way last year, but I don't know. It didn't have near the spots.
I can straight up tell you why, but he's going to have to bleep it out of the episode. Yeah, but I can do it, but he'll have to bleep it out.
Well, and here's one of the interesting things, and I've been in staff planning meetings with Adepticon, not this year, I've skipped them all, but I have in the past. And as a local, I'm going to go to Adepticon one way or the other, right? It's my convention. I don't have to travel. I take a couple days off. I get to go. But the problem is, and they've opened up to where they have another hotel now, but Adepticon is too big for the convention center.
Oh yeah, and it was before the one before.
My opinion, they don't expand and do the right things to take care of some of these problems because they don't want to join the big boys and go to Rosemont or McCormick Place.
Yeah.
That is a much bigger monetization calculation in general that would be able to handle everything they deal with, probably have software, their own built in to do it. But I don't think that the runners, I think they they don't strive to be Gen Con or bigger than they are. They want to put on quality. And I think to a point, I think they really do quality-wise.
They don't want to be a real job. That's the point. Is they would need dedicated Adepticon-ers, and at this point, it's even the main guys that I know. I'm not going to name names just because that kind of guy, but the main guys that I know, I have told me in the past they enjoy doing this, even though it takes up 98% of their actual free time out currently.
That is correct. There are no full-time Adepticon employees. Adepticon is a completely volunteer ran. So
well, it sounds like to me from the outside looking in that it's time for Adepticon to move to a larger facility.
But I think it's at the point where people are going to compare it to Gen Con because, and Gen Con has had full-time Gen Con employees for years.
I'm gonna float this. First off, I'll let Jack, then I'll float something.
you all can correct me if I'm wrong. Every time I've heard Adepticon bring up something about moving to one of the bigger spaces, they're afraid of the pushback that is going to entail because all these bigger places, again, correct me if I'm wrong, are like in proper downtown Chicago, not in a suburb.
Some of them are, some of them aren't.
They don't want. They say it costs a lot more money, so it's all about them wanting to not take the jump to
a professional event. So it sounds like they're
business.
kind of the middle ground between a GT, as far as like the Michigan GT or NashCon, and Gen Con. And it seems like Adepticon is riding as close to that upper line to risk. Regardless, the thing that I wanted to float, have we considered just doing stagger enrollment for events?
Well, that was my suggestion. I even posted. I got locked.
Well, I didn't know if that got floated at least on this show. I know that we had floated it in chat because we're all reasonable adults, with the exception of Duncan. But we can all understand that there can be give and take where it's like, oh, the first hour we post 40K events or whatever you tier when registration goes live based on the number of seats that are enrolled for that.
I'm going to jump in for a second.
All right. That's a contentious point. I'm excited.
The wonderful fun part about this is Heresy sold out before AOS. Heresy sold out before 40K because 40K still hasn't well sold out.
Whoa. Hold on. I was not ready for that revelation that Heresy sold out before 40K. Okay.
40K's hang on. 40K's flagship
40K.
event.
What 40K?
40K's two flagship events are the championship and the team tournament. The team tournament, as of right now, 9:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, has still not sold out.
That's startling to me because I knew guys like I've never name dropped him on here before. Alex and I used to get to play against Aaron Aliong pretty regularly.
Airing it right now, there are 43 remaining slots.
Yeah, I knew the ATC, the American Team Championship. I knew that was a big deal. That was they tried to poach Alex after Alex almost took a game off Aaron Aliong, and it came down to like 2 dice rolls where he could have gotten it, and Aaron was just like, oh, I gotta make changes to my list. I can't get caught with my pants on my ankles like this. The fact that the ATC has not sold out, and everything Heresy has not only sold out, but the wait lists are maxed out.
There's an asterisk. They had more seats for most of the events, except I think the ATC had 50 seats, if I may be wrong.
That's fine. That's fine.
Still, I mean, like the team event usually sells out like crazy fast.
The team event had over 100 spots. The main 40K championships, the single man tournament that takes place over 2 days, had something like 200 spots, I believe, 180 or 200, something ridiculous like that. And that one sold out after all the Heresy stuff did, because when I was looking at other stuff to see if there's anything else I might be interested in, that was still available when I actually got my ticket. Right now, as I said a minute ago, I just logged in to see if any of the wait lists had somehow opened up and to see if the 40K events were still on. The single man tournament sold out finally, but the team tournament still got 43 spots open.
So with that thrown out there, I just want to point out here that my fellow event runner for a bunch of the events, Zach, has hopped into the podcast this evening. So I know we've been pretty passionate about our takes. So I don't know if y'all mentioned, and he didn't get a chance to pop in and say hey. So welcome, Zach.
I have not said hey yet.
Welcome to the jungle.
Hey,
Zach. Welcome to the show.
Zach, this is doing? What, 2 or 3 shows in a row for you?
I missed last show.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of a move.
Hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And Michael, this is your second show out of 4. This is dangerous precedent. We're starting to get people on here we didn't used to have. This is I'm uncomfortable. I don't know if anybody.
Don't worry, Princess.
I'm uncomfortable in a good way.
I don't want to lose the momentum that we have from Duncan, though. I want to point something out. I want to point something out to you. If you go to Age of Sigmar and you look Age of Sigmar Championship Day 1, they still have 54 tickets remaining. Age of Sigmar is they're about to go into one of the biggest pushes they've ever gone to with a new rule book, and they have 54 tickets remaining.
I think
team tournament for Day 1, they still have 55.
Do we know what their total allotment for that event was?
For Youngbloods for the 26th, they still have 14 remaining tickets. And that's for their younger guys. But still.
I'm just trying to frame this where we've talked about the fact that like the solo 40K championship had 200 seats that sold out after Heresy. I'm just trying to stack AOS. I know that like I'm oohing and awing over the fact that Heresy has outsold some of these, but that may be a shifting scale. And even though it's important to talk about, and it's very exciting to us personally, especially on this show, I don't want to overstate or oversell our pick, if that makes sense.
The only thing left available for Horus Heresy is the notorious BAG. That's it. Everything else is sold out. If you could not see, and I mean this in a magnanimous point of view, right? If you could not see that Horus Heresy would be one of the largest games at this event per capita based simply upon 2.0 box sales, 2.0 book sales, the fact that when a new tank drops, you can't get it after 15 minutes, the fact that stores are struggling with allotments, they can't get what they need from Games Workshop, so they're going to Alliance. They can't get what they need for Alliance, so they're going to tertiary distributors. If you haven't looked at your FLGS and seen them struggling to get the product that you want, and you couldn't tell that this was going to be a large event, you either have to be blind or your head's so far under a rock it's covered in concrete.
Well, let me get myself out from under that rock in the concrete. But that's a regional situation. Up here, there's plenty of stores that still have plenty of box sets, and it's not a thing in every place. So.
We're not talking about box sets. We're talking about new releases.
Right, but it's all the same because we still have box sets. We were discussing like the selling of those different things. That's all. It's all regional.
We're talking about event days. Like when the Scorpius comes out, it's sold out. You can get it now, but you can get the same weekend.
The first release, Zach. Every release that comes out. I mean, look at Forge World. Whenever a new crater drops, it's sold out within a couple hours.
Right, but we're talking. We were discussing our local game store, right?
I'm discussing
in addition,
like. Not just local game stores. I'm talking about local online distributors in their existence. Like if you work with an FLGS to get product for your players, if you run Heresy leagues and stuff like that, they'll say, "Hey, what do you want for this? Hey, how many should I get of this?" My local stores can't get what we asked for.
Yeah, that's pretty normal too. Even the Games Workshop, they'll have requests for so many of each kit, and they get like they're even at Games Workshop here. Mm-hmm. They're limited, and it's one of the top 5 highest volume GW stores in the North America. So
we have 6 Games Workshops here in Houston. 4 of them ask me how much they should get and what they should get, and if their allotment is incorrect, and it always is. The smallest of them is like 15, 20 minutes away from my house. He always gets undersold by 10. If he should have 15, he might get 2. So it's a problem.
Looking at the numbers right now, the Age of Sigmar Championship had a total of 220 tickets available at the start, and there's 166 of them and sold. Warhammer Championship, there was 256 available. There's still one spot actually open right now. And then, where's the other Age of Sigmar?
These events are super majors. These events are larger than anything else in the country.
Can't find the other.
Yeah. These are your belt matches.
This is the premier event. Like you save your money and your time and your PTO to go to Adepticon.
Like my militia, I worked on that for 2.5 years straight to get. People plan armies way in advance for this.
Right, but they sold more tickets than we had available, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'm missing the
equivalency we're trying to draw here is, well, yes, we had smaller event stuff. Well, yes, we had smaller event caps. Our event caps and waitlist caps sold out and got filled up before what is supposed to be the most popular game and most popular event at Adepticon.
So the Age of Sigmar team tournament had 94 spots. They've only sold 36 or 39 tickets as of right now.
Wait, which one's only sold 39?
Age of Sigmar team tournament.
What
It has,
sell?
it has 94 tickets available, and they've only sold 39.
I have a
What's
question.
what's the 40K what's the 40K friendly?
The team
Sold out.
tournament?
Friendly.
No, just the friendly.
Give me a minute. I gotta look it up.
I didn't know that game could be friendly.
Yeah,
Well,
I have a
it's-
question.
That's an interesting point because if you go and talk to anyone playing it, usually they're not smiling and having fun. It looks
No.
like they're playing in a tournament, but they call it a friendly, and it's thematic narrative.
It's thematic. It's weird. It's often very weird. Jack, what's up?
Jack,
Hey, I got a question. Is any of these events for 40K ITC contribute to ITC points? However that works, I don't know.
the single person championship does.
Okay.
Well, yeah, it's a super major. It almost has to. Well, it would have been a super major.
So this is then, at this point, the first main tournament for the new season of ITC because the ITC ends at LVO,
Yes.
Yes.
right? So
So-
would, theoretically speaking, would that feed anything into it since you're no longer fighting for points and you probably have fatigue for getting in the last tournaments of the year? Oh, just asking.
Those guys, they're different. They don't have fatigue. They just have a drive to beat each other to death.
Remember, Jack, this was us like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Even 10 years ago, if it was at the end, I would probably skip the first one because I like sleep and other things that I'm not going to say on this podcast, but involves a woman.
Zach,
You
I have an
realize
answer.
like women are temporary and championships are eternal, right?
Women are temporary. Being the number one Eldar player for 2023 and having
Yeah.
that screen cap is forever, baby. You
Yeah.
can never lose that.
No.
Zach, I have the
Yeah.
totals for you.
What's up?
The friendly,
temporary chick stitch
Yeah.
scars, glory is forever.
Zach, the friendly total was 104 spots, and they still have 2 open as of right now. And then the doubles tournament was 64 spots. They've only sold 25 for.
Okay. And if I could be wrong, so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure the friendly are 4-man teams.
Yes, they are.
And then they also had the big team tournament. I guess it's the Long War doubles. Does that sound correct? They had 128
yeah.
spots, and there's still 2 seats left open. Right.
Refresh,
I think
they're
that-
all gone.
Well,
They probably are. I mean, but still, I mean, it's right there on the.
They're all gone.
Yeah, but I know
I think we're getting too hung up in comparing, right? The
Yeah.
fact is, as we've said, those events are run by volunteers. These events are run by volunteers. It has a lot to do with how many volunteers, how many people have played in the past, how many people those events get. The frustration with people not being able to get into Heresy events doesn't have a lot to do with how many people signed up for these 40K events. To be fair,
No,
They're-
no, it
they're kinda
doesn't. It
different
has to do with the registration show that was the actual registration itself
yeah.
from
that's-
C-Vent crashing and Adepticon's website crashing. I'm not upset that I didn't get into it. Okay, that's a lie. I'm off that I didn't get into a single event. What I'm about beyond that is the fact that it took me 40 minutes to sit there and get nothing. When
56.
myself
40 minutes of
56.
mashing the F5.
No, 40 minutes of sitting there staring at a red ring of death that didn't do a thing other than me off and make me angrier.
Brought
I've
me-
been off and
brought me
angry
back
all
to-
year. The year's 18 days old. I've been angry every one of them. This just made me angrier and angrier and angrier.
So,
I mean,
so before
the
we
end.
get too deep down that rabbit hole, I really do want to bring a positive note, like top level.
I'm positive I'm going, and I'm going to enjoy seeing every single one of my friends.
To Dan's
Heresy isn't
point,
dead.
with regard to like, hey, are we
Fucking
getting
spiky bits.
hung up on comparison? I don't know who to attribute this quote to, but it was once said, comparison thief of Joel. Put that out there as a positive note and resume our regularly scheduled.
I will say one thing.
Well-
Heresy's not dead.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a little salty about the registration.
I mean, I am too. I got zero.
Not,
I literally
not
got 0 events.
unreasonably.
So what I'm probably gonna do is I'm gonna find Duncan and Jack and whoever else didn't get in, and do friendlies and probably drink a lot more than I was planning on drinking.
Hey, if you want, I'll send up like 6 extra tables with John. You guys can set those up and play in the corner by yourselves. Have your own event.
I mean, like the issue that
Blackjack,
we've heard
man,
right now
liquor.
is that
don't suggest a couple people go off and be like hard for heresy in the corner. Like that's how Emperor's Children.
So back to the issues with the spacing for the events. The fact that you couldn't get into an event or you are currently on the wait list, that's all my fault, guys. I'm the one who chose the numbers.
I'm not angry at you.
Me.
I'm not angry at you.
Zach, I'm not going to throw you under the bus.
That's okay. But I do want to actually explain like my actual methodology on how I chose that amount of space. So over the last several years, as we're well aware with Heresy 1.0, we've been hemorrhaging players for a while. They've been going off to different games, back to 40K, over to AOS, and all these other different things. Last year, even though Adepticon had record attendance, I think we went with 20. No, we still went with 15 tables. Isn't that right? Yeah. So we went with 15 tables, so 30 players per event. And most of them we had about 20 some people. There's some that even that's just what actually registered, and half the time you still have like the 3 or 4 people that don't show up day of, be it that they're hungover or forgot or double booked or whatever they got going on. So based off of that, knowing that there was still going to be probably a resurgence of Heresy players with 2.0, I still went with I actually went with 1 extra table for every event, thinking, okay, we're gonna fill up. If we have a wait list, we can take care of the wait list. But I underbid like how much I actually thought we were going to need, and we were hilariously unprepared for how many players actually want to play. So I am actually in active talks with Adepticon as far as getting more spaces and everything else. So that's going to. There are more spaces. We have more space, physical, actual space in Nirvana room. So that's not a problem.
The problem though is Nirvana room. I mean, I hate to say it, but eventually now we've already broken it. If you I understand what you're saying. If there had an understanding of what could happen, but right now, if you opened up without worrying about tables, we're just talking about physical 3-dimensional space. If you open up everybody that's on the wait list and immediately move them into playing, could you fit that many tables in?
For there's 25 on each wait list, I think, roughly.
Yeah, and you probably have a good overbook. Yeah.
No, because 25, I need how many? For 25, I only need 13 tables.
There's two events running at the same time, so you're looking at. Let's just right. I'm just saying right now your event is running at the same time as Lucas, right. And so each of you has an overflow of 20 people. So that's 40 people total, which means you need 20 extra tables. Can the room hold 20 extra?
Yes.
Okay. How many tables can the room?
The room as a total can hold 50.
What are we at now?
We are at 30.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
30 tables. So you're saying we have
30
room
tables
for 26. You
correct.
believe
you
anyway.
have,
yes.
Can I ask?
We're at 32 because 16. They're done in groups of 6.
Michael.
Can I ask a really I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but can I ask a really blunt question?
Sure.
Why didn't you just have 56 tables in there total?
Because because the other thing we need to worry about is terrain, which we do not have terrain for that amount of stuff.
You did.
So how many tables?
People.
And the other thing is
bringing.
the spacing. Right. The other thing you need to remember is the spacing for 56 tables. There's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of space. There's not going to be space between the tables.
That's fine.
So I made a call thinking, all right, let's see what we got. And
so if you put in 50 tables, like let's just ballpark, and I promise I'm not trying to be mean. If it comes across that way, I swear it's not meant that way. Let's say you put 51 tables in there. Let's say you put 51 tables in there. How many tables how many tables and mats do you need? Because let's not forget that you need mats. Okay, so you've got mats. Cool. Throw the mats out. How many tables worth of terrain do you need? How many tables? Just
that's
put the number out.
That's what we're working on right now, because with Lucas has a number of them. He's able to cover the tables that he wanted for the 32.
Well,
We
Lucas and I are still working on that.
Okay,
So
but
how many?
at the time as of today, when it was just 16 and 16, we were covered there because we were able to cover it last year, and we
So
have
you
a
need
little bit of
18
extra terrain.
tables.
We're
Conceivably.
looking at that.
Conceivably.
Yes.
Like, let's say, hey, let's go to 50 tables. You need 18 tables worth of terrain, is what you're
Correct.
saying.
Yes.
Awesome. When you decide that you want to open to 50 tables, if you do make that decision, will you make sure to let me know?
Oh yeah.
I will drive them to Dallas so that I can put them in the trailer with John. I'll send 6 tables.
I'm limited on what I can haul. Okay, don't before you sign me up for everything. I'm limited.
I'll strap them to the top of your car with a ratchet strap.
I've already been voluntold for the 4 that I've got previously done. I've got the 4 that I'm 5-ish that I'm working on now. Lucas is still trying to figure out what he has, and then we still have to figure out a transportation method. So I mean, unless we're gonna rent a semi or something like that, or someone's gonna shell out for a U-Haul, we're running into a problem.
Well, I just want to let you know that
U-Haul
the community, the way it is, I have pretty much since registration was over, I've been fielding direct messages and emails to me about anyone who has like terrain or whatever. They've been offering, hey, I can bring 1 table, 2 tables, this, that, and the other. Hey, I live in the Chicago area. I can take care of this. I can help you out with that. The community has been incredibly supportive.
I did just want to circle back to John's point where we talk about this being like the Nirvana room. I was fortunate enough to attend Adepticon in, I think it was 2017.
Yep.
Might have been 2018. When we talk about the Heresy room, it's not just people playing Heresy. Yes, it is people playing Heresy. At the end of the day, when all the various Black Library authors were done with their seminars for the day, I know where they went. When all the Forge World guys were done with their seminars for the day, I know where they went.
And not only did they just walk through, they stayed.
Correct.
They asked questions.
Yeah, this was not a like, oh, we poke our heads in. This is where these people chose to spend their free time, and the people they chose to spend their free time with were the Heresy players. I was not going with how we bribed them to stay. And listen, just because some of these people may be Brits who had the same thing to say about America that Hugh Laurie did, where he was like, I think your people's greatest contributions to world culture are bourbon, barbecue, and jazz, but...
Well, they had no problem drinking the 2 handles of I had with me, so...
I mean, I know for a fact I handed out bourbon to Black Library authors that year.
So to give context to this may or may not have to get bleeped from the show. We'll figure that out later. I distinctly remember, and maybe I've said it on the show, maybe I haven't, the year that I was at Adepticon, I was playing part or partial bartender because I was there on someone else's dime, and I was like, oh, I should maybe not get plastered. Maybe I should be a nice person. And I distinctly recall emptying a case that had showed up that day full of bourbon and going, oh no, you're out of bourbon. And the person who had brought said case turning and looking at me and saying, yeah, we're out of today's case of bourbon. That's a problem for tomorrow, me.
Costco.
This individual may or may not have been a business person who was selling artistic items or delivering them. Who had brought...
I know who you're talking about. So.
I know, yeah, and I'm not name dropping them because, like, on the one hand, I think they would appreciate the publicity. On the other hand, I don't want to out them for their extracurriculars. They had brought a case of bourbon for each of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and having gone through that day's case completely unfazed. I was not prepared for that. I had not seen that level of consumption since college.
I would like to point out that Jack and I every single year bring up how many bottles of
yeah.
And we bring 0 of them home every year.
This was the same year that
I need to bring meat.
This was the same year that Ryan had the famous "Hey y'all, want to see a dead body?" moment, because one guy had overindulged on, come back into the room, slumped into a corner looking like an 1800s dead body, and Ryan was just like, "Hey y'all, watch this."
Is that
I got nothing.
Is that I feel like that's a different person than the Australian who.
Oh no, this person was American. There was an Australian incident, but that's a whole. That may or may not have been.
He just crawled up underneath the table and was out.
Yeah. The Australian may have just been like, "Whoa!" and may have found his hidey hole, his safety safe, and made sure the drop bears couldn't get him, and decided to pass out, as you do, Rentley.
So I want to jump back a little bit, because I want to go back to people bringing, not that the booze conversation isn't great, but one of the things to think about, right, is if you're bringing terrain, you have to commit to being there Wednesday evening to set up terrain and leaving that terrain through Saturday events. So there's a lot of people that show up for Friday and Saturday and leave late Saturday, or have various mitigated travel schedules. So it's great that people are volunteering to throw tables out, but I don't know if you're realizing that if you are not coming till Thursday night, bringing a table doesn't help another 2 people get into an event, because you have to be there Wednesday night, and it has to be set up for first thing Thursday morning for that event to kick off at 8:00, I think, or 7 even. I don't remember when 9, whatever.
I'm not getting up that early. I don't care if it is
that's
central,
something to keep in mind too, right?
Time zone. Yeah, definitely. Because if it's the table only works for us if it has to. If we're starting on Thursday morning and people aren't showing up that early, then no, it's not going to work out for us.
Just something to think about.
Hold on 1 second.
All I know is, like I said, I may not have gotten into the events. I may not get into any events, but I'm going. I'm going to have fun. Yeah. I'm going to see my friends. And I'm going to get every single day. And I'll pass out bourbon to whoever is of legal age and wants to consume some of my free bourbon.
Are you bringing Ale 8 too? Because that's an important part.
Yes, the Ale 8 will be there.
It sounds like I need to bring meat. Is that what y'all want?
So the other
dessert.
I will never turn
John,
down meat.
I don't think that you will find a room of men more receptive to you putting your meat in their mouth than what you will find at Adepticon. Bonus points for smoky or saucy. Guys will be there for it.
Yeah, I brought an old 80s drink, Music City Heresy, with Jack and Duncan.
Yes.
That sucker quick.
Oh, yes.
The Ecto Cooler. Oh, man. And I remember that gal showing up completely hammered. And she was just like, "What you're doing in here is degenerate." And you're like, "Here, drink this. It'll help." "No, I won't." "It's high C." "No, it isn't." She takes one drink. Never mind.
Although I'll tell you, the ones that we made that were half vodka, you couldn't tell.
Well, exactly.
Sunny D and Derby Juice is Sunny D and pure grain. So
that's the point of some cocktails, is to be able to hide the alcohol content. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Some cocktails you want to see the spirit and experience it, and other times you want to hide the fact that it's jet fuel behind the fact that it tastes like candy.
I just pour bourbon into Ale 8 and let people have it.
I distinctly remember showing up to the barn.
Lots of cranberry juice.
Showing up to the barn at one point and Ryan handing me a mason jar, not just me, mine, of real honest, hadn't been in the pipeline, hadn't been taxed moonshine, and being like, "This is jet fuel, get it out of my house, I won't drink it." And
Well, who all was at Heresy Camp?
Oh, so
Cody bringing in the moonshine, man.
Exactly. So this Adepticon debacle has gotten some of the locals who knew Ryan and who went to Heresy Camp just being like, "So we're bringing that back, right?"
Hey, just so you know, if you guys want to get Heresy Camp started again, We're trying.
They will absolutely help coordinate that with
That
whether we
yeah.
do it up here, down in Texas, wherever. It sure seems like Heresy Camp is going to be in the cards, if not this year, then at least next year, just to try to build a Heresy forward, not Adepticon.
Can I request a place that doesn't have mosquitoes that carry off like somebody might thighs?
No.
Okay. That's
we
part
can't
of
hold
the-
it underwater.
That's part of
Yeah.
the ambiance.
Given
We
the
can't hold it
time of
underwater.
year that it's going to be held, unless we get the whole battle barn, it's kind of inevitable.
I'm not seeing a reason not to get the whole battle arm.
I'm just, even then, like the problem with the battle barn is there's no bunks.
I'd just bring an RV. I've done it before.
I've heard
No, I
worse
have. I
ideas.
literally went and rented an RV for an event we had at Ryan's place because we did space for people to sleep.
What's that? Sleep in the
when
parking
was
lot?
that? Was
That
that the
was
first
one of the-
Heresy Camp?
No,
Or
that was
that
before. That was one of the Buddha cons.
Okay. I was not there for that.
I know Nick and Tiger were both there. They played in a lot of the stuff, and we
'Cause
needed space, so we literally went out and got a class C, like a 31-foot Class C, and probably had an extra 7 people sleeping in it.
Yeah, because I didn't start showing up to Ryan's place until 2015, 2016 maybe. And even then, like I didn't play serious events until 1 year-ish before the Heresy plastic box dropped.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what year I actually started. I don't know why.
I think the first time I met you, Duncan, was 2017 when Ryan came up there to Acon, and you and him played in multiple events at the end, like in the championships.
Yes.
I didn't get in because I didn't get into any of the events. I kind of just sat there and bummed by both of y'all and basically plowed you with alcohol.
Yeah, so that was the year that we had the horrible incident where Jack, myself, and our buddy Betty almost got kicked out of the hotel for being way too drunk.
I may have found a video from that.
Oh my, that's
anyway.
Yeah, we'll never discuss that again.
So I gotta ask, if I look at the guys here, Michael, have you made it up to Ryan's place? And Zach? Because I know
I have not, no.
that Dan, Jack, Duncan, and Jamie have. John hasn't made it, but I know I've met you at NashCon.
Yeah,
that was...
I can't. It's a little weird, so I'm like deathly allergic to cats. So that's kind of the thing that keeps me away from like those type of sleeping events at people's places.
Yep.
And John,
Zach,
that was one of the reasons.
I have not. So
right on.
Right about when Adepticon was, well, for Heresy, was really kind of in its heyday, which was what, 7, almost 8 years ago,
which is 2024.
Wait, what?
So 7 or 8 years ago,
sorry,
you're
anyway,
saying
so anyway, it was
2014,
my son was
2015,
born,
2017.
Yeah, my son was born in 2015. Just days after Adepticon. My wife, who was 9 months pregnant, came to Adepticon. Yeah, so my son was born.
Gamer Center into labor.
Just kind of, yeah. So with him being little, that eliminated like a lot of my excess traveling. But Adepticon was always the thing I could do, especially since I was helping. So yeah, that's why I never got down to Kimmel's or anything like that.
Well, the next one at Battle Barn is February the 12th, isn't it?
My daughter's birthday is 16th.
February 11th, I think it is. Let me double check.
Words are hard sometimes. It's around there.
Yeah, February 11th. Looking at for the next 3,000 points, 2-ish rounds. The barn will be open for a 3rd round, but we're hoping by condensing it to 2 rounds, we have a better chance of getting folks as far south as Nashville as Detroit. It's not to say we'll get them, but we're trying to put our best foot forward.
So if we're going to start talking about events, do we want to actually kick off this podcast?
Absolutely not. Let's talk about, do we want to do news items, hobby progress, or do we have a few points about Adepticon before we fork?
There's one thing I want everyone to keep in mind with Adepticon, because it's foremost in my mind. So we used to talk about how since we moved up to Nirvana, I think we lost a lot of traction with players, or new players, because we were up in that little room and not as many people saw us, as opposed to when we were down in the main hall and people could walk by. That's not an option for us now, because right outside of our room is Golden Demon. So bring your A game. Just everybody's going to be walking in to see our terrain, to see our models, the whole nine.
That was kind of going to be one of my kind of questions that we missed a little bit when we were talking about tables numbers. I know that in the past, outside of Nirvana, this is 2019 and earlier, there was like the Titanicus stuff and things like that that were Heresy adjacent,
right?
But weren't specifically the Heresy Hall. So is that gone now? Is it
that is all gone? That entire area are now giant lit up glass cabinet full of amazingly painted models.
What about the other hall on the other side? Nirvana's kind of on the left of it, and there's also the right way off the elevator.
On the right way, that's where they'll still have tables mostly for like smaller games, pickup games, demo games. But all of the other rooms, similar to Nirvana, like that's where you'll find your Titanicus. That's where you'll find your Aeronautica. That's all that other stuff is down that way.
Okay. I was just thinking 2 steps ahead.
Yeah. So last year that Mark from the Grand Legion, he was running Titanicus up there in one of the other rooms. I couldn't tell you, but they were sharing it with Aeronautica. They were sharing it with, I want to say Infinity, but maybe something else. And it's a smaller game regardless.
I remember that hallway kind of being open to open gaming, because that's where we've done like the meat grinding and things like that with the Buddhas, and then inside all those rooms was stuff like Batman, Pirates, and
correct.
Things
like yeah. So all that stuff will still be there in that kind of concept. We've just moved back up from the main hall like we were last year.
We got our house back.
House back.
Just making sure that if someone wanted to open game, that we wouldn't be much less than a stone's throw away. I don't want like someone open gaming Heresy to have to be on the other side of the hood.
And one of the things that Lucas was actually talking about is that after that 5 o'clock time period for the Pyrrhix games, he was actually discussing just leaving that side open just for open gaming as we're showing up like Beta Garmin or the big ass game, things like that. They're happening on that other half of the room would still be open for people to play whatever they want.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy if someone wants to play with my stuff for open gaming when the events aren't going on.
Yeah, I've heard about that. Heard that about you.
I'm well open for gamers.
But so that's the plan. We have the set things. Man, I want a York peppermint patty now, Jack. Damn it.
But, you latched onto that, but not the ice cold A&W root beer up there. What a heathen!
I saw that. That's not actual food. I can't eat them. It's just a sign. Oh, it lights up.
Yes, my man. I can't remember the last time I had one of those. Me and my dad used to go there all the time.
I was drinking A&W from a 2-liter, but A&W root beer from an official A&W mug earlier this evening with dinner.
Now, from the tap, ice cold. That's how it's supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm. For sure. In high school, there was we could drive to one, and there was a couple of guys that filled up an entire locker with glass mugs. Like they would just take them every day, put them in, fill it up.
I hate root beer so much.
You would.
Really? I just don't like the taste of root beer. I think it tastes disgusting.
Not everybody does. It's okay.
You said you don't have taste before.
This isn't the first time you had a wrong opinion, even if it's less wrong than playing Ultramarines.
I mean, I frequently am ridiculed for my comments and thoughts, and I'm okay with that.
I'm trying to figure out, do we have more people whose names start with J or more Ultramarines players podcast?
2, 3. There's 4 right now. Ugh, that's hurtful.
Ultramarines players or people who start with J?
Both. Jack, Jamie, Jacob, John, and Jack, Dan, John, and Zach are all the Ultramarines players.
It's a dead heat.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah, I'm working on a 1,500 point force of Ultramarines.
Oh, thank goodness. There's too many Ultramarines still.
But it's for ZM, and it contains 2 Contemptors, so that's not really an Ultramarines force. That's like a beating on the way.
So it's an Ultramarines force.
You keep it up, and I'll play at Fury of the Ancients.
I'm building
right now, literally.
I may need to paint more Ultramarines because I'm reading Unremembered Empire and came across the character that's the reversed white with blue Ultramarines character. So now I have ideas for alternate Ultramarine scheme units.
Duncan,
bam,
look up. That's cute.
Yeah. See, that's nice.
Did John tell you?
You have about as many contemptors as I do Land Raider.
Did John tell you about the award he won here in Houston this weekend? Because his
No, he
list
did
was
not.
so bad, people felt terrible for him.
No, but I would love to hear about it. Why don't you tell us about the event today?
Yeah, let's hear about the event.
Listen, I don't want to go into it, but it was great. You guys missed out if you weren't there, and that's all I'm really gonna say. Now, so anyway, we had a really great weekender event, and John ended up winning a really cool award because he brought nothing but jet bikes, and if you know jet bikes,
I found out later that all of a sudden this was a ZM playground.
Yeah, and turns out if you say, "Oh yeah, you can take your jet bikes into ZM," John will do it. He's not scared.
Well, he painted what, 30 of them in time for last year's Adepticon, or yeah.
Anyway, I just want to tell you, it didn't work out super well for John, and he won oddball.
The first game I was playing, my teammate was playing Eschaton and my opponent was playing Eschaton and his teammate was playing the Death Guard one that turns everything that's difficult and dangerous.
Creeping
the
death.
The entire table was dangerous terrain. And I would like to note that 6 of my men said, I'm out, and then just put the bolt guns in their own face.
John, I'm very sorry.
One of those games where it's like, why do you hate me?
Because they're your dice, John. They hate everybody.
Michael can attest to this. After that game, I went downstairs at the event and bought a brand new set of Forge World Ultramarine dice and a set of the store dice. I rolled a little bit.
He did. It also helped that I touched the dice.
Just to ask the question, have you considered not?
I mean, there's always the possibility that it's just the fact that you're playing Ultramarines dice. I mean, after all, they do have a toilet seat on them.
Where?
Look, I would like to disagree, but every time I use my Ultramarine dice, I cry a little bit. Then I switch to some
apparently the RFI
World War II dice.
Listen, it don't affect me when I play with Salamander's dice, baby. I was rolling Fire Drake saves all weekend.
All right, so bring this back in line to what all we talked about. Do you have anything else about your event? Any shout-outs you want to do? Any
shout-outs?
Dudes?
Yeah, Lucas has a wonderful event planned for Adepticon. I'm not going to go into it because it's his event. He's got some wonderful stuff in that packet. If it's something that you can go to financially and you've got the time, you should go. He's got something really, really great in the pipe. Some really good ideas. It was good. It was I think it was 16 people in the end. Jimbo ended up coming out and doing best painted for us, and it was a good weekend. Of course, we got to see John and Lucas from Dallas, and then if you know John, Stanford, and Jackson, they came down too, and that was really nice. So, all in all, man.
You won your best painted.
Best painted ended up going to Jackson Stanford with the Death Guard.
I thought he won the theme. I thought John.
No, John Stanford won best sportsman.
Okay, I thought he won the theme. There was
No. Mark for success was Scott Culp. That was the Dark Angels Eschaton Imperative guy. One of them.
We're spreading like the plague.
So, yeah, it was a really great event, man. It gave us a lot of good ideas, especially going later in the year. It fuels the fire for things like Warzone. You know, it lets us test stuff for that. It let Lucas test that. Cody McGarity has got an event coming in Victoria. Not sure on the timeline, but he got to test a scenario for it. It was really good. And the Forge, as always, is just a great place to get games in and spend time. So it was a really good weekend with the boys. It helped recharge the batteries. It was nice.
Well, good.
I very enjoyed it, and I appreciate you for running it. In my opinion, I don't do a lot. I just bring stuff to play on. I bring stuff to play with.
Bullshit. You do a lot. You bring a ton. You bring a ton to the party. You bring a ton to the experience. So I'll always argue with you about that.
I handed out some Aquila pins from the Accountability Buddies podcast and pimped us as much as possible.
So I need to get a sticker.
We doing T-shirts for the Adepticon too?
We talked about T-shirts with the new art, I think.
I think we're probably going a little bit off the task with the podcast to be respectful for everybody's time.
Yeah, I'll bring that up in the chat. I've got somebody that I'm tracking down locally that does T-shirts, so we can do a little more quality control. And then Lucas has someone he's found that does kind of print-on-demand stuff. And then my wife can do single-color stuff. So Lucas and I have been talking about it a lot. We'll bring it up in the chat later.
I also talked to our, as you all know and have seen, the artist who did our previous logo, our current logo. who's doing stuff for Zach and also us for Adepticon.
Yeah, I've got him set to do some stuff for our source book we're going to do later in the year for the Texas campaign. So he is just, Kurt is phenomenal.
Yes, he is.
Sorry if I wasn't supposed to name drop him. You can bleep it out.
Nope, quite all right. Also, one thing I want to shout out is an event down in Springdale, Arkansas. I talked to the event organizer, a guy named Martin. It's at the Shiloh GT. It's called the Battle for Shrouded Gates. It's February 18th and 19th, the weekend of. It's a narrative event, 5 rounds over 2 days, 3,000 points. 3 games of the 5 are narrative games with thematic and linked missions. And the last game of both days is going to be a grudge match that are free play games. Anyone can play against anyone else for any missions they have. Loyalist versus loyalist, heresy, traitor versus traitor. They don't care. They just want to be there to have fun, play new people, and enjoy themselves.
And Martin's a good guy. He runs the Titanicus podcast, but he's run Titanicus events that I've been beside and watched him run events. So he's a real good guy.
Right now, when he talked to me earlier, he said they had 5 loyalist tickets and 6 trader tickets left. But if they fill up those, they will be able to expand and sell out more tickets.
Awesome. That's the goal, man. Big events everywhere. Keep it rolling.
Yep, that's exactly what I think.
I mean, it honestly, we all feed off of each other anyway. I mean, we're all eating off the same buffet.
Yep, very true.
Let everybody get a chance at the table, huh? That's why I think if we could link stuff, oh man, dude, that'd be cool.
Can't really disagree there.
So I mean, like that's the intention behind the Battle Barn, honoring dog tags from Michigan and from Nashville as well. The idea of building something bigger, and our mechanic is decidedly even more simple than what dog tags are.
Well, I'll have to get your address. I'll have to send you guys a couple of challenge coins. Maybe I can seduce you to coming out here and play in the Warzone. You can come earn one.
Yeah, do it.
Come jam with the boys.
I dare you.
We'll throw down at the racetrack, fight in the parking lot.
We'll have to.
It's a hoedown.
You can come get your catalytic converter stolen.
Well,
welcome to Houston.
I can do that here at home. So,
if I bring my truck to Houston, I'll lose the whole truck. So
if you bring that F-250, you will.
Yeah,
that thing will be a Mexico, baby.
Much like some others.
Gone.
I work in healthcare, so like the fact that I still have a catalytic converter on my vehicle surprises me every day.
Oh, you should just straight pipe it. It'll be better for you anyway.
I mean, there's a reason I drove a 95 Ranger for years when driving to the prison.
Before we get too far off topic, does anyone have anything, hobby progress, event shouts, Adepticon, shouts and murmurs, before we sign off?
Hobby progress wise, I've got some more decals applied to Whirlwinds. I'm building a sorry, my wife came in to hand me a part that I need to finish building my Dreadnought carrying case here.
And everybody started waving?
Yeah,
we did.
I'm building a magnet lined container for the Dreadnoughts off of a ornament holder, a little better quality than the one I built previously, and it's also tall enough to hold my land speeder or my javelins. This will actually be a lot better than having to use battle foam every time. It doesn't stay stick. Those new magnet racks like to slip and slide like a greased weasel, so this stuff doesn't move.
Well, I added to John's hobby pile.
Oh, yeah, you did that too.
And I don't feel bad about it at all.
So, yeah, Michael and I decided that we would brainstorm. I was going to say troubleshoot. It's going to add a lot of trouble to me. We were going to brainstorm ideas for new tables. I've always wanted to build a bridge table, and Michael had all the parts.
John's big bridge table is coming, baby. Y'all don't even understand. This shit is going to be crazy. Amazing.
Yes.
I want to build it in such a way that it's a table into and of itself, and it can connect.
Oh, and also Lucas's giant agrodome table also coming. Y'all don't even understand.
Isn't a bridge table just a table between two tables?
Shh. Hey, don't ruin it, Zach.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Hey, listen, keep the wet blanket vibes down, bro. No, it is basically but it's going to be great. You don't even understand. You can't see the vision, Dad.
Oh my.
No, they're not dolls. They're models.
They're not dolls, Dad.
They're collectibles.
They're collectibles.
No, it's a real military simulation, I swear.
War Thunder it helps me with my ROTC, Dad.
I swear, every single one of us in here is insane today.
Okay,
I got a
we're...
It's been that kind of day.
Yeah, Jack, before we go any further off the rails, hit us on our way out the door.
What are we looking, other than seeing everybody, what are we looking for at Adepticon? What are we looking forward to outside of the gaming with 30K?
To say I got into a Miles David Little Legends weathering class and
I wanted to do that.
And a Samuel
Just go sit in on it.
Samuel Lentz Miles will probably let you maybe, but in a Samuel Lentz wet blending class on Sunday. And so I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he does some amazing crap out there. Come up.
Yeah, I get drunk with him every Adepticon I can.
Jack,
I'm geeked for
turn your camera.
Classes.
While we were talking, I was able to get into Miles' flesh painting class, so I look forward to that. I've dealt with Miles online a lot.
I did that one last year. I really did that.
Oh,
yes.
So you can tell it's late in the
no, I have PTSD today, and that's why I'm like off the rocker.
No, John 100% has PTSD. I watched him get it at the Forge today live at 1300 hours. I watched John contract PTSD. He has it.
He was there when I was trying to access the Adepticon.
Yeah,
but you were smart and gave up. That's the problem.
Well, I had a 4.5 hour drive ahead of me, so I knew the longer I kept hitting refresh, it just kept screwing with other things.
I do apologize for your looking at my cat's butt right.
That's all right. We paid $5. It's fair game.
I'll go next. What am I most looking forward to at Adepticon? Other than seeing friends who I don't see very often, other than hanging out with friends I don't get to hang out with, playing games against new people and literally seeing the beautiful armies that the heresy community comes up with. I could care less about the event, how it goes, who wins what, who doesn't win what. I care most about hanging out with my friends and seeing the cool stuff that we've all come up with every year.
So, since I am going, but I'm kind of with Duncan, but there's one thing I'm going to say that I'm actually looking forward to just because, and it's not Horse Heresy related. I know Jacob will be happy that I say this, but I'm looking to the reveal of the new Mech Warrior expansion or BattleTech expansion that they're announcing at Adepticon. So go ahead and hate on me.
I can't wait for that Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Given the fact that they delivered on their other two, I'm like, okay, y'all can actually follow through this.
So, but
that right there.
The main thing I'm looking forward to, since I couldn't even get on waitlist for literally anything that I wanted to do, is just hanging out with buds and friends. It wasn't just Horse Heresy stuff. There was a bunch of classes I really wanted to take, and I couldn't get into them either. So, like, one of which was the weathering class with Miles, and then there was 2 CK classes that I really wanted to take as well. So,
I realized that for as long I've chatted with you for, I don't know, 5 years, Jameson, and we've never met in person.
That I know I've met Zach, and John I've known for a long. I think the first time I met John was at the Memphis what did they call that event they had in Memphis?
Games Day.
No, this was prior to Games Day. It was a
oh my, you're right. Oh my, I forgot about that thing.
Yep. I want to call it say it was the big WA or something like that.
Yep.
You had a IG army where you had hand built like most of the weapons and all the artillery, and like I didn't only got to play in the Apocalypse game there.
I rifled all the barrels on my custom Medusa cannon. That's right. I remember. Well, I remember now. I don't remember it because we spent a long night on Beale Street.
Oh yes, we did. And then we also you and was it your dad came up for the games that they had there.
Yeah, I remember walking back from Beale Street that night carrying everyone's yards.
Yeah.
And one guy stopped me on the trolley. He's like, "You must have had a good night." And I was like, "No, sir. You've heard the designated driver. These boys want these drinks when they get home. I'm the designated carrier."
Yeah. So, I mean, I've known John for a really long time. And everybody else, I've just I know it doesn't seem like it because everybody thinks I'm kind of the youngster, but I've met everybody else through different podcasts and everything like that. So like the Buddhas and RFI and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, that's where I always get Adepticon is one thing I always look forward to is getting to meet people, put faces with names, or however you want to say it, and just having a good time. Even if I don't get to play, which that's happened to me before, or if I don't get in classes or whatever, I always there's so much going on. There's something for you always to find to fill the time up. So, Anybody else?
Jack?
I'm just gonna be pretty much happy when everything is said and done. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody, but with keeping everything organized, gonna be happy. Be happy the day after.
Said and done.
The day after Adepticon, yes. So begin planning for next year.
John, what are you looking forward to?
I get the Miles class. I honestly enjoy entertaining people, so seeing people use my tape, facilitating happy games, playing a few games of my own. But yeah, I really enjoy when people the stuff that I bring, and I might try to make up something that's edible without any illicit stuff.
Sorry, what classes was Miles having?
He had a weathering, a face, and I can't remember if there was a third one he had.
It was like a grim face and a normal face.
John, you say not illicit, but you realize you're going to be in Chicago, right?
Yeah, that's all legal.
Half my stuff is illicit in Chicago. I mean, this room is illicit.
Yeah.
It's a sliding scale.
Chicago doesn't like me.
I like it, John.
I mean, if most of us can't do that right now, there's a problem. Yeah. Not that a lot of people understand that one, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Michael, you were planning on going. What were you looking forward to?
I really wanted to get some networking in. I talk about Warzone all the time. I don't even own Warzone. I sit here and listen to people talk about events all the time, and I probably spend more time than I should watching people's events and looking at them and like, hey, you should go to that. Are you there? Like, I wanted the networking. I wanted to be able to talk to people and go, hey, I run Warzone. Are you going to be in the area? How can I help you? We're much smaller than any other events around the country. How can I help you get bigger? Because if I can help somebody else, it helps me in the end. I wanted the experience. I wanted the networking. I wanted the getting to know people, getting to meet some faces. But it's just not going to happen this year. Between the ticket sales, again, not your fault, Zach. It is what it is. But between that and everything else, I'm just going to flip focus and try to get more stuff done for Warzone and try to push more into Texas events. And I got to focus on what I'm good at. And going to Chicago apparently ain't what I'm good at this year. It is what it is.
Well, I'll admit that sharing a room with many, doing some other stuff like that is what's going to help me a lot. Lucas is going to help some with the driving costs because obviously it's a little more weighed down with all of our terrain. If it was just as is, I probably couldn't. Luckily, I've got some help.
But next year I'll have the truck's in the shop now, so she'll be fixed and ready to go, and then we'll buy the 20-foot trailer and I'll drive Big Bertha up to Chicago next year if you guys want. We'll load that whole truck up with terrain.
Yeah,
We'll take care of 30 tables ourselves. We'll drag the whole state of Texas up there with us.
Zach, what do you think about that? Having the whole state of Texas come up there.
I don't mind Texas, so it's okay.
A lot of the guys,
some good food.
A lot of the guys would come. The problem is just airfare. If you're not bringing
any legitimate Mexican food, what are you even doing? So
brisket.
You don't want legitimate Mexican food. You will actually yourself.
No. To be fair,
don't threaten me with a good time.
Food in Chicago.
No, I used to,
but in Chicago
for work. I used to actually have to travel to Texas on a weekly basis.
I'll bring you some actual barbacoa. You will die.
I want Mexican food so spicy and so everything else that it makes someone else themselves after I eat it.
My coworker grew up in Mexico, and his dad's in a restaurant or stepdad's in the restaurant business, who also grew up in Mexico. There is legitimate Mexican food in Chicago, and I've been there and had it. There's also but there is legitimate. There's legitimate anything food you want.
All I'm gonna say is for the next Houston event, we're going to Thai food. I'm gonna burn you out.
You did have a good selection of food.
All right. As
the Chinese food was great, wasn't it?
As we go further off the rails, does anybody have anything to say about Adepticon before we sign off?
Can't wait to see.
I'm sorry.
We've got 72 days. If you don't have your army ready, get on it. And I look forward to seeing y'all.
Is it really Adepticon if you're not sitting there painting a miniature at the very last minute, right before your game?
Or fixing your entire army because it got destroyed in shipping or travel.
Never done it.
Oh yeah,
if you're
one more
not
thing.
if you're not
everyone
painting at Fort
traveling-
Wapple underneath the stairs, I don't know
Yep.
what you're doing.
For everybody traveling, I am local and have a pickup truck and am more than willing to have armies, terrain, whatever shipped to me and take up to the convention. So if you're a listener, one of the dudes here, that offer is always open. I will gladly take care of that for you. 2 p.m. We can take care of that.
With all of the above being said, I've been Jacob, and this episode I've been joined by
Duncan.
Jamie.
Jack.
John.
Mike.
And Zach.
and we're glad to have had you with us. Thank you for joining us, and remember, stay accountable to your hobby and your buddies, and we'll see you next time.